We all know that travel can sometimes take us down unexpected paths, leading to unforgettable experiences that sometimes we would choose to rather forget. Picture yourself stuck in a foreign country with no clue how to ask for directions, or finding yourself in a compromising situation at a deserted tourist attraction. Here are two extraordinary stories that will make you realize that even the most seasoned travelers can find themselves in the most comical and cringeworthy situations. So, grab your headphones, sit back, and prepare for your funny bone to take flight on Trotters Folies, where the only baggage we carry is laughter. My name is Adam Benjamin, and this is Like Mars on Earth.
Oh no, I've never told it. No, I wouldn't. I don't want to remember it.
Is that bad? Do you think about it a lot?
Yeah.
That's Kylie and Joe. They met in college, fell in love, and now live together. Kylie works at a pet shelter in Boston, while Joe is a freelance writer. Now, because their work schedules are so different, they didn't really get enough time to spend together. So they decide to go on a romantic vacation to the beautiful city of Spain.
This vacation was very much like, we don't see a lot of each other, even though we live with each other. Let's do this fun European experience where we're around each other more than we've ever been.
This is a romantic episode of Like Mars on Earth. Actually, yeah, it is. It's in a sort of a way. Well, although it may not seem like it, this story is about true love. And just so you know, going into this, we interviewed Joe and Kylie separately on two separate occasions. So we had both of their complete, unfettered perspectives on this story. Let's get started. The vacation got off on a fantastic start. For 10 days, they booked their tickets to Spain.
So we spent the first 4 or 5 days in Madrid.
Madrid was great.
Did Madrid up, museums and churros and
tapas. I've never been there.
Yes, we're having such a fun time.
And the second part of the trip, even more special.
We were gonna drive down to the Costa del Sol, on the Mediterranean coast. So we were gonna do Madrid up and then spend some days on the beach. Malaga, I believe.
Malaga. Actually, it's more, I think, Malaga, but Joe is not a fantastic Spanish speaker.
We were trying to rely heavily on the fact that she spoke Spanish in high school.
I was an honors Spanish in high school.
So Kaylee's on Spanish duty, and it falls on Joe to drive the car.
We had this rental car, and it's a Spanish car called a seat.
I remember that car well, yes.
You can't just name a car after a part of a car.
The Honda wheel.
Right, here's my Kia turn signal. Sort of like a low-end European rental car, kind of a piece of shit. And it was manual transmission.
I don't drive stick. I never learned.
I knew how to drive one, but it had been a while, so we got the seat. We sat down in the seats of the seats.
With the wheel. It was time to hit the road for a day-long romantic road trip through an exotic land.
Our day of travel from Madrid to Malaga is still to this day what Kylie considers the worst day of her life.
The worst day of her life.
So from Madrid to Malaga, I believe it's a 5, maybe 6 hour drive, right? And right in the middle, the midpoint is a city called Cordoba. We were okay, we'll stop in Cordoba, get lunch, get back on the road, and get to our fancy resort hotel. We get to Cordoba, right, like we thought we would at lunchtime, and everything's closed. Legit, every restaurant, every brunch spot is not in operation.
But that afternoon, Joe and Kylie were in luck.
We finally found this restaurant that was open that had 2 people at it.
Sitting on a cobblestone street under one of those umbrellas, the romance of Spain.
And we're looking at the menu and everything's in Spanish and we don't understand what anything is. So
I do speak a little Spanish, but there were many years in between high school and that trip.
And it became very clear that she was out of practice, and everyone in Spain speaks much faster than like high school. So like we really weren't speaking much Spanish to people, and just a pure American tourist, just expecting people to speak English. And it was working out fine in Madrid. We're looking at the menu, and Kylie finally like asks the waiter in Spanish, like, what do you recommend? Like, what's good here? And he goes, gambas.
Gambas. Great.
And she's like, great, we'll get one large gambas, por favor.
Let's get gambas and Coca-Cola.
But he said he was going to make us like a special plate of gambas.
Ooh, a very special plate of, what was it called?
He leaves, and I'm like, what are gambas? And she's like, I don't know, I forget.
And I was like, I don't know.
And then the gambas, a steaming plate of gambas arrived, and we learned that gambas are like prawns, like giant prawns.
Fully formed shrimp, just like legs, tentacles, shells. And we don't eat shrimp. At the time, we were like not shrimp eaters. And so we were like, holy shit, what do we do?
Yeah.
And he lays them down. She's like, thank you so much. These look great. And as he walks away, she's like, I'm not eating that.
Perfect, great. I'm not eating that. There's no way. Joe had his work cut out for him.
I'm struggling to like make a dent in the gambas.
Guilt gambas. They've become guilt gambas.
There's nothing special about them. It's just like kind of slimy and steamy. And I in 2009 wasn't like super proficient in gambas eating. So like I didn't know how to rip off the heads or the legs. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just like, it was a travesty what I was doing to this plate of gambas, and I was like getting nothing out of it.
Kaylee, in the meantime,
she was like, he made this special, like it'll be rude. So I was like, all right.
So I'm going to not eat, and you're going to eat them, and I'm going to eat nothing. So the gambas didn't work out, so I'm going to have Coca-Cola for lunch. Great. What a great lunch. It's delicious. So Joe choked down those little gambas, and it was time to hit the road.
I'm just like, let's get to the beach hotel early. We can sit on the beach for a couple hours and then treat ourselves to like a huge romantic non-gambas dinner, right? And she's like, that sounds perfect. Let's do that. And I'm like, okay, but if I'm going to get back on the road, I need a coffee. Hopefully we can find like a coffee place. So into the GPS thing, I type in coffee, and there's a place around the corner from where we are, like less than a kilometer away.
Joe threw the seat into first and cruised on out there.
At this point, he took a turn, which we thought was going around the block to find parking. And that's when we entered the walled city.
The walled ancient city of Cordoba. So we like enter like a medieval gate.
And nothing was ever the same. Joe was sluggish from the gambas, a bad taste in his mouth, knowing he had a long drive ahead of him. He wanted his coffee, but the long-standing cultural traditions of Spain had other plans.
And we get to where this coffee shop supposedly is. It's closed. And we're like, of course. Why would we expect this place to be open?
Joe threw the seat into reverse. Something wasn't right.
This particular seat really had a hard time going in reverse.
He had so much trouble putting it in reverse. I didn't know how to say, maybe you should do it this way, maybe you should do it that way, but like, I sort of knew he was doing something wrong. Going in reverse cannot be that hard.
I would stall out every time. It was, very annoying, but it was also like, well, how many times we're going to go in reverse and in this seat, like whatever.
When I say walled city, I mean, I feel like it was probably like a New York City square block with like 20 one-way streets inside of it. As we were trying to navigate through, we saw that like some streets were blocked off with like cones or whatever.
We follow the GPS and it has us navigate these incredibly narrow, claustrophobic streets of this ancient walled city.
And we're like, where are we? What did we do? And we get to this courtyard.
We get to the other like medieval gate.
But it's a dead end.
And it's blocked by like two giant like metal pillars.
So Joe is like, well, shit, we're a dead end, you know? You push down and then do something. So he's like jamming it down, and like reversing was like very hard for him.
In this particular seat,
I try to like turn around and I have to go in reverse for that. The car stalls out. And so we go like a different way. We like cut through the middle of the city back towards where we began, which is the other gate. But I had forgotten that it's one-way traffic. You can only come in through there.
We kept getting blocked.
And then even if I wanted to do a psycho move and like drive the wrong way out of the city, that wasn't an option, because in the 20 or so minutes we had been in the city, they had blocked that entrance for some kind of parade that was gonna happen later in the day. Each time we like made a revolution, more and more streets were becoming closed for this upcoming parade. I'm not exaggerating. I think we made the same series of turns 150 times. Like,
We just kept going around in circles.
there was no way out. I'm picturing this like you play Pac-Man and the ghosts are just getting closer and you're cornering yourself.
each time we end up back at that original blocked gate, and each time we get there and there are children playing soccer in the middle of the street in front of the metal pillars, and we have to do, you know, a 8-point turn to get back on the street, which means I'm stalling out 8 times. Every time I go in reverse, the car stops and I have to like start the car over. So every time that happening, like the kids playing soccer stop and stare at us. Time we turn around, we're also disrupting these kids' soccer game, because like we're like kind of blocking the field, as it were, you know?
It would be very frustrating, and I think it would leave you starting to look for ways to cope with the situation.
As we're driving, I'm trying to like keep the spirits up a bit, and I'm like doing a bit where I'm like, I think we live here now. We're dead. We're ghosts. We're dead. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill myself. Thing where I was like punching the steering wheel. I was just like just full meltdown mode. And like, you know, and it starts to like enter the picture like I'm going so psycho that I was like, there's only so many times like you can tell a person in a half jokey way, like, I'm going to kill you and kill myself. Like
He easily gets upset. His rage was like off the charts. I mean, he says 2 hours. I believe him. In the moment, for me, when Joe is at that level, I'm like zened out, and I'm like, we're gonna get through this. We're gonna be totally fine. If there's a way in, there's a way out. These people haven't been trapped in here their whole lives. So we're at a point in the courtyard again, and Joe's like, you know, flailing and screaming in the car. I can't quite remember what made me realize, like, oh, I have to do something. Like, I have to ask someone right now. We have to get out of here. There was a man who was walking past our car. So I just rolled down the window and asked him, like, excuse me, where's the exit?
she got like 4 words in.
And he was like, what?
This man gets beat red.
And then he just started like yelling at the boys who were playing soccer.
Yelling at the kids playing soccer. And I'm like, what is he saying? She's like, I don't know, it's too fast. Like, but he's just like berating these children, like, bah-ra-ra-ra-ra.
And we were like, what's happening?
And they stop their soccer game, and one kid goes up to a box and like lifts a thing and presses a button.
There was like a pole in the street, and they pressed a button that was on the pole.
And the metal poles go down into the ground.
Are you kidding me?
Like, they just like descend into the cobblestones, and they like part for us to like drive past them.
Like on a normal day, seeing that would be like, whoa. But we were like, what just happened? And Joe started cracking up.
And like we get out of the city. So then I start cracking up. Like I have to pull over because I'm like cracking up. There's a button that makes the poles go down. So I'm like cracking up.
And I just start hysterically crying. I'm just like weeping. And he's laughing he's like, why are you crying? And I'm like, I contained it for 2 hours and here it comes out.
I was just like, you have to find some humor in what just happened. And she was like, I don't. That was awful. You were really scary. I hated every minute of that.
And he's like, all right, well, should we look for coffee? And I'm like, no,
No, get me the hell up out of here.
I think it was pretty much quiet after that.
3 hours of driving in total silence, during which time, thankfully, the reverse gear was not needed. Finally, our young couple arrives in Marbella, Malaga, Spain.
We envision this beautiful Mediterranean area, when in reality that part of Spain is actually England's Florida.
England's Florida.
If that makes sense.
I mean, the resort was very much catered to British tourists.
And we asked the person at the hotel, we are so hungry, we haven't eaten all day. Is there a restaurant you recommend? And the guy's like, oh, all the restaurants are closed now. You're not gonna find anything in town. The restaurants are closed. We're like, okay, what do we do? And he was like, well, you can eat here at the restaurant at the hotel. The pub is open. And we're like, yeah, I guess we'll do that. We go down to the restaurant in the hotel, and there's a Manchester United game on, and we're just in a shitty, elderly British soccer hooligan bar.
A perfect beach resort. Exactly what you picture when you picture a beautiful Mediterranean beach resort.
So we order spaghetti with red sauce.
When in Spain.
Right. And then we order 2 pints of beer or whatever. And we're just and she's just so miserable. And the food comes.
And it straight up tastes like chicken soup.
It tastes like chicken soup.
And I can't understand why. And it's again, I'm on the verge of tears. I'm like, this can't get any worse.
So we're choking down this chicken soup spaghetti.
In the British pub in Spain.
And behind us is a group of 60-year-old Brits playing on a snooker table. I can't do accents, but in a thick British accent, he's like, oi, the snooker table's the same color as the Spanish flag, isn't it? Right? And I just start cracking up, and Kylie starts cracking up. And then I look at Kylie and I go, the snooker table's the same color as the Spanish flag, isn't it? And Kylie goes, what are you saying?
I thought he was just laughing at the absurdity of the day. And he was like, wait, what are you laughing at? And I was like, I'm just sad.
I'm sorry. I didn't realize you were just laughing because you were sad. This next story is from my dear friend Anita, who gets herself into a fantastical adventure in the heart of South India.
This is some time back when I was 15 years old, and my parents were in this moment where they said, I'm a Gulf baby and they need me to experience small town village life, and they took a travel trip with us to a very small district, which was it was a small district in south of India, which is known for its cultural heritage and temples that go way back 300, 500 years ago. So this was their way of giving a holiday for me after my 10th grade exam, that I'll experience all this cultural heritage by living a village life.
AKA a holy holiday.
So anyhow, it was not just us alone. We were about a bunch of 40 uncles and aunties with their kids as well.
Ow.
So we did our successful 7-day trip. Everything was fantastic. We were living in one of the small town villas as well, in somebody's house.
So it was like a whole family vacation.
And I remember it was time for us in the morning to sit in a big bus and then go to the railway station so that we can catch a train and then travel up north of India, which was, by the way, a 2-day trip.
A 2-day trip.
So early morning, all of us washed up, etc. And I was one of the early birds, so I was ahead of everybody. And I was standing there just preparing something, and I heard 2 of my uncles talk together and say, I think we're going to be short of space in this bus, because there's not just the 40 people that are going to jump into the bus, but also the luggages had expanded. For some reason, a lot of shopping had taken place by all the women. So they were kind of talking to each other that this is not going to be enough for us. And I quickly jumped in. So as I was 15 years of age, uselessly enthusiastic. And I said, uncle, I can handle this. I can handle this. And I quickly, without even them explaining me or giving me any guidance or instructions, I just very overzealous, over enthusiastic. I.
Let me handle the things that I don't know in an exotic land that I've never been to. Perfect idea.
I did my eye bit and I quickly left the home and walked around the small alleys of that small town, right? And left, right, till I reached the main market area somehow. Because I knew once when I'd gone for some shopping there that the main market area has a lot of auto rickshaws that get lined up. So that visual was clear in my head that there is a place where all these autos are available. And I remember when I reached there and I sat in the auto and I told him, okay, let's go. And he wouldn't speak English or Hindi, and I only spoke those two languages.
Perfect. Tell the guy who doesn't speak your language, let's go, vámonos.
So he kind of, visualized saying where. And I said, yeah, I'll tell you. And I remember the point where I entered from in the market, towards the market. But once the auto went there, and then he kind of stood there waiting for my next instructions to go left, right, or straight. And I was lost. And I was like, okay, left.
Right.
And
Left.
And center.
Up.
And right.
Down.
U-turn. And left and right. All this nonsense took place for 30 minutes where we kept going into a maze of small alleys, eventually seeing that house that I stormed out of with the bus. And the whole bus was already stuffed in with passengers, with the luggage. There were already 2 auto rickshaws also stuffed up with the extra luggage that we had. And I had arrived there after 30 minutes, embarrassing the shit out of me that, oh God, I was so not adding any value. And I stepped out of the auto and I was like, I got an auto. And my uncle was furious. He's like, you made us wait 30 minutes. I said, I'm so sorry, but we can use this auto. Look, I've got an auto. And he's like, no, we are done. And he, poor guy, had to stem out some of the money from his pocket to kind of compensate the auto guy for uselessly riding me around for 30 minutes.
So I'm gonna pay the driver of this auto for the 30 minutes you got lost in trying to get us unlost so that you are unlost.
So yeah, lesson learned that in life you should volunteer or raise your hand when you know your shit. You have resources to support. Otherwise, this unnecessary leadership or enthusiasm basically turns into embarrassment. My parents thought it will be seen by me and my sister as a vacation, but I can conclude to say it was never a vacation. We used to wake up like 4 in the morning, go to these cultural heritage sites, come back, start cooking lunch and chopping and laundry because there were like 40 people living together. So it wasn't a vacation, but it was an experience of my lifestyle. Yeah.
So that was your first time.
My first time.
And in your age group, were there others?
So I had one another, and then I had group like gaps of 2 years, 3 years. So we were in total, if I can say, in a range of pre-teens and teens.
So the bus stopped on the highway to get everybody on board?
No. It came to the townhouse that we were residing in.
And you were about to go where?
The whole trip, by the way, was 22 days. Yeah. So the whole trip was 22 days, of which 7 days I spent in Kerala. Then we hopped into a railway train that took a 2-day journey from Kerala way up north to Delhi.
From the southern part of south of India all the way up north.
And then from Delhi, we hopped into another non-AC bus, by the way. And that's the reason why I say it was never a vacation. It was torture. But like I said, it changed me as a personality of being a Gulf baby. Just to share another example, so we were in this non-AC bus, and you know how Indian roads are very bumpy and potholes everywhere, right? And we were going into cultural sites, old temples, visiting all of that. And at one point, I think on my day 14th or 15th, I just gave up. I would, by the way, not sleep in any. We would stay with free ashrams, not in hotels. There was no 3-star hotel as well. We would stay in these community non-profit centers where they just give free mattresses for the travelers. Yeah, we would bunk on those sites, basically free, and then you get up in the morning and you have just like a very watery lentil soup with some porridge or rice. It was like very minimal living, right?
It sounds like a sabbatical.
In a way, it was. And my parents wanted to do this as a gift for us, like a Gulf baby seeing a different dimension of life. They thought it will be like a change of scenery, but it was so not.
So what was going through your head?
That I'll help my uncles and I'll be a heroine. That, you know what, I can figure this out. I can help in need. I can help in crisis. Because I could hear that they were short of seats for the passengers because of the luggage situation. So I thought, you know what, this is going to be a good helping hand.
So you got into this rickshaw, and how did you communicate with the guy who didn't even speak your language?
So it was more like, left, right. I mean, it was very hilarious. But at that time, it was all making sense in my head that I'm getting to the point.
So when did you know that you were lost?
Next, like less than 2 minutes, I knew I was lost because there was no map in my head. There was no reference point, no landmark, no. Damn me, right? I could have just remembered one color of a villa, right? Like, okay, from pink villa, I should turn left. From a green villa, I should turn right. Even these landmarks, I had not mapped out in my head. So I had zero idea except just telling him left, right, turn left, right, center. And he kept circling around with me for 30 minutes.
So you were lost along with the auto rickshaw driver being lost. So you two were lost. And did he know that you were lost?
Yeah, he totally knew it. He knew it. Like a girl who doesn't speak any, communicating language, he knew. But I'm so grateful to him because he didn't leave me abandoned there.
Well, how much did you end up paying?
Well, if I'm not wrong, it wasn't that much. Like I said, this was 22 years ago. So I think best of best 50 rupees.
Oh.
Yeah, this is like 20 years back. Life was cheap at that time. Transports, fuel, it was cheap. So not more than 50 rupees. But if I can equivalent it to now, those times 50 rupees could have easily been like worth 300 rupees. For a wasted trip. See, if you reach from a point A to point B, then it's a good trip. This trip was just circling me around. So for that trip, paying that much was useless. But yeah, all through the bus ride until the railway station, I just like shut up. Yeah.
So while you were actually lost, did you observe what was around you, or just do you reckon what you see around you?
No, I just remember seeing houses and houses and houses, and at some point in time there were people, dusting their carpets outside, some were brooming the floor, and I'm like trying to recollect, have I seen this uncle? I've seen this stranger house before, have I seen this person before? So I'm trying to make a connection, but it just wouldn't come to me. And I think what eventually happened, let's imagine it was a 2 kilometer by 2 kilometer perimeter of that place. I was perhaps circling more between east and west and not realizing that it's more towards the northeast. So the coordinates were not working out. Like 30 minutes, I was just making this auto guy go in places which were not even known to me. Only eventually when it started to make sense that, we've been in this alley, this place, we've already taken a left, we've already taken a right. Now let's go to the northeast side.
So imagine removing your glasses, putting it on your head, and then spending 30 minutes around the house searching for your glasses when it's right on your head.
Because you see, I was already 15 years old. I knew what embarrassment means. It's a memory that's created in my life, which I can even talk now. So yeah, I remember being very embarrassed, and the entire rest of the trip, I didn't offer help.
You offered us a lot of help already.
except if my mom kind of like, hey, pick up these bags or whatever, but I did not offer help. Nobody knew what happened except my parents, the uncle, and me. Because the uncle knew that I said, hey, I will figure out. And he saw me storming out of the house. And the parents, because they were like, okay, everybody's packed up in the bus. Where is she? But the rest of the crowd had no idea. They were just giggling, yapping, chattering. They had no clue.
And you were just there in the corner brooding, like,
Exactly.
So that makes me ask, like, if you could go back to that time, what would have you done different?
I would act sensibly, definitely offer help. I'm not saying that this taught me not to be helpful. No, I think I like being of some use to somebody, but I would have done it in a more sensible way. Meaning, I would have at least done a Reiki in my head where I was, let's say, walking 30 steps and I would say pink villa, another 30 steps, green villa, another 30 steps, this tree that looks like a big giant mountain.
Like lead
I would have done a
breadcrumbs.
Reiki in my head, and then after catching the rickshaw, I would have traced my steps backwards. But what happened was I just stormed out with super enthusiasm. I'm going to get an auto. And I just was only focused on the goal, not preparing after goal what will happen to me. I was just like, okay, I need an auto. So the only thing in my head was auto. And I did not act sensibly.
And that brings us to the end of another righteous episode of Trotters Folies. We hope you enjoyed traveling vicariously through the hilarious and fortunate experiences of our fellow travelers. Remember, the world is full of unexpected surprises, and sometimes the most unforgettable memories come from the most unexpected situations. So, whether you're planning your next adventure or reliving past travels, keep an open mind and a sense of humor, because you never know when the universe will throw a comedic curveball your way. Also, I want to express my sincere gratitude to all our listeners who have shared their glorious travel stories in the past months. You're the reason this podcast takes flight, and we're grateful for each and every one of you. So, until we meet again for another laugh-filled adventure, remember to pack your sense of humor and keep exploring this wonderful world of ours. This is Adam Benjamin signing off with a smile and a heartfelt wish for hilarious journeys ahead.